Like more or less waiting for the ball, and the harder you hit it, it'll make you pull back without even having to worry about it.
Exactly. Let me show you what we're talking about. Okay. So now I can start with no backswing and find the ball, and I'm getting great pace. I'm accelerating almost right on top of the ball. Wait, and then accelerate. With the old method, I'm way back here, and I'm slapping at the ball.
Yeah.
With this method, if I want more power, I draw back and then accelerate.
So it's more of a push.
It's more of a push. It's more of almost like you're throwing the ball over the net.
Now, a lot of people say you don't push the ball, but actually you're stronger pushing than slapping. When you say you have a lot more power that way.
Not only the power, it's the timing. Most people make mistakes because their timing's off or they hit the ball too early. With this method, it's you're much more in tune with the ball. I feel like I'm playing with the ball rather than reacting to it. The other method, I'm throwing my racket back. Now I got to find out where is my hand.
It's basically you're committed to a swing line. You don't know where it is yet. Out in front, you can make your adjustments.
I have much better balance. Exactly. Out in front, I can adjust and put more topspin on the ball. Or I can point my hand in this direction and run my opponent across the court. It's much easier. You feel like you're playing tennis more. Than the other way, it's more of it's a more involved stroke that's more mechanically. You feel like you're learning the mechanics rather than playing with the ball.
Charlie, that was great. You really made a good explanation of finding the ball. I know a lot of guys on your team are hitting this way. Why don't we go talk to one of them right now? Colin Click, sophomore here at MIT and one of the top players. I understand you've changed your game. How'd that come about?
Well, all my life I've been playing tennis for about 14 years now, and I was always taught the traditional method, which they tell you to, keep your arms straight and hit through the ball. And recently this year, Charlie was our head coach for the MIT men's tennis team, and he introduced me to the Wegner Method, which says that you can actually come across the ball and come across your body.
So let me get this straight. You were hitting for 14 years that one way, and your coach came up to you and told you to completely change it, and you had no problems with that?
Yeah, well, Charlie's a great guy and a good coach, so obviously I'm going to listen to him. And also he gave me some of Oscar's stuff, his DVDs and his book, and I actually read through that actually in one night. And then, and basically in just those 2 hours to go through all that stuff, it convinced me completely. I went out the next day, and in an hour, I was playing the best tennis of my life.
I understand you're doing a study here at MIT. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was just so impressed with Oscar's method that, I wanted to do some work with a high-speed camera and actually try to prove that his method is much better than the traditional method. Because, I was kind of angry. I've been wasting 14 years of my life paying all this money for people to, make me not the best tennis player that I could be. So I want to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. And I figured doing it, trying to prove it, quantitatively, it actually might help spread his system a little bit better.
I know. What is this camera exactly, and how does it differ from a standard camera?
All right. Well, it takes a lot more. Basically, cameras, they take lots of pictures very, very fast. A regular camera takes maybe 30 pictures a second, and the camera we have takes 1,000. So we can actually really slow the ball down. So basically, if you were to do it with your camera, it'd be a little bit blurry. But our camera, the ball will be perfectly still, and we'll take a video camera and actually try it with the traditional method and also with the Oscar Wegner's method. And from the camera and also using computers, we'll be able to measure stuff like acceleration, the spin on the ball, and also and the speed of the ball. And we'll determine which one is better.
Sounds exciting. Let me check it out. Okay. Wegner Method. Traditional tennis.
Wait and find the ball. Good. Find it good. Very nice. Great finish.
That voice you just heard is the guru, the man behind the method, Oscar Wegner. We're going to talk to Oscar for a minute. Oscar, how'd you come up with this unbelievable method?
Well, when I was a kid, I had a great forehand, and I had also a real good game, good timing. And I was counseled to change it, to prepare early, and it cost me a lot of trouble. I played the tour, and I didn't have a good forehand. And I kept watching some of the best players, and I realized the way they were hitting. Very simply, they waited for the ball, they found it, and they finished. Nothing else.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been using this method?
Well, I've been coaching now close to 40 years, and I use it with a lot of players. I use it in Spain. I changed the whole system over there. In Latin America, I had guys like Gustavo Curtin, who became #1 player in the world in the year 2000, Vincent Spedia, many others. Other people learn from my books, from my videos, like Srishapan, you know, back in Thailand. He wanted to be a pro, so his father coached him with this stuff. And then later, you know, in the 1990s, the Williams sisters, the father learned from this, you know, and he thought it made very much sense, so he switched them, because they already had started, to this method. And it really worked out wonderfully for them.
That's really unbelievable. For 40 years ago, you were teaching hit the ball out in front. That is really unbelievable. What have you found over the years? Has the system developed, or has it remained the same? Is it you know, how much of the system has changed over time?
Well, it has improved. Over the years, I realized that people have a lot more talent and coordination than we thought. And then, actually, the less you teach and you just guide them, it's so easy to copy the pros and to play like them. And actually, that's the easiest way to learn, the fastest, and the one that gives you the best results.
Oscar, what's most important about your method?
Well, the beauty of it is that it's very simple. That it doesn't take a lot of detail, you know, a lot of things to learn. It's just like catching the ball and releasing it. So anybody can learn it. It makes tennis one of the simplest sports to learn. And it also appeals to the instinct of a person you develop very quickly. I have taught thousands of beginners, and I love doing that because it's so much fun. And after, you know, 15 minutes, half hour, I have the person rallying back and forth, having a lot of fun with a lot of control, at a controlled pace also. You don't see the ball flying over and having to pick up 20 balls. They hit 20, 30, 40, 50 balls back and forth within a short period. And they love tennis, and those persons stick to the sport. So essentially, tennis is one of the easiest sports to learn, and my system proves that.
Simplicity.
Exactly.
Okay. Oscar, you have a new book. What's in it?
Well, a lot of things for beginners, for intermediates, for advanced, and for teachers. You know, like teachers like you, I want to really have them try the system because it's so much simpler. You can see results very quickly. And also I explain how tennis is a game like martial arts, where you really handle the forces within the game in a very special way that make it very easy, more powerful, simpler, you know, a lot more efficient, less stress, you can play more relaxed. So all these things are in this book.
Mm-hmm. So basically everything, every stroke, everything.
Modern tennis. This is the start for the whole country.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe even learned a couple things. As you can see, tennis can be a very easy sport to learn, and it's always going to be fun. Hope to see you on the courts.